All right, so how many of you feel like you're winning at life? And you don't have to raise your hand, but I want you to see how many of you feel like you're really winning at life. Then the next question that I have for you is, if you're winning, are you playing a big enough game? Because one of the things that happens is sometimes we keep playing a small game because we know we can win, right? Instead of playing the game that our soul really came to play. And so one of my jobs here is to not only celebrate that you're winning at life, but to really challenge you to say, but are you winning at the game you're supposed to be playing? Because if you're winning playing a game that's too small for you, like if you've taken kindergarten 47 times, like pretty much anybody can pass kindergarten after the 47th time, right? And sometimes we feel a little scared, a little insecure, a little challenged. So we keep playing this small game over and over again. And our soul didn't come for that game. So if you're winning, are you winning at the right game? And if you're not winning, see, I'd rather have you like having mixed results with a game that's actually big enough for you than playing a game that you know is too small for you because just so you can win. So tonight, would you be willing to play a bigger game? And would you be willing over the next 5 weeks for us to take these simple spiritual ideas, but to apply them on a much bigger level? You know, mastery at anything is doing it over and over again until it becomes a part of you. And then once you've mastered, whether it's a golf swing or a tennis swing or whatever, it becomes a part of you. And I want these simple spiritual ideas to be so ingrained in you that whatever game your soul came to play, you have the tools in your toolbox to play it effectively. Now, sometimes our ego really gets involved in the game we're playing. Do you have an ego? I have a huge ego, and I'm man enough to admit it. I have a huge ego, right? And sometimes my huge ego starts to critique the game I'm playing. And what I want you to see tonight is that your soul actually came for a bigger game. Would you be interested? So here we go. So we're using The Game of Life and How to Play It, Florence Shin's book. Now, Florence Shin was born in 1870. I think that's fabulous, right? She was actually divorced in 1912, right? The life that she led in New York was an amazing life. That she was doing things that a woman a century and a half ago absolutely did not do. And she did them with such zest, she was amazing. So tonight, I'm going to allow her words to inspire us to play a bigger game. Let me read from, and we're focusing on chapter 1 tonight. It's called The Game. So we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imagining faculty. A person with an imagining faculty trained to imagine only good, bringing into his or her life every righteous desire of his heart, health, wealth, love, friendship, perfect self-expression of his highest ideal. So the focus of the first chapter is learning to focus the faculty of the mind. And what she talks about in this first chapter is she talks about that we have 3 faculties of mind. Now, she talks about superconsciousness. Can you read it if I do it in red? Okay, superconscious, right? Conscious and subconscious. Okay? Now, she talks about this idea that superconscious is our ability in our mind to actually entertain the mind of God. That superconsciousness is our ability to attain, to hold on to pure ideas, perfect ideas, the mind of God ideas, possibilities, to actually download spirit. And that download of spirit happens at this level of superconsciousness, that we actually have access to it. We have access to it. We can have access to it in our conscious mind. Sometimes we have access to it through dreams. Sometimes we have access to it through visions. But we have access to this level of consciousness, this level of superconsciousness, which is pure goodness, right? Now, think about all the ways that God is trying to inspire you, trying to lead you, trying to guide you, trying to move your life forward. In this model, that all comes from superconsciousness. It comes from that level that there is this higher possibility. There's this perfect mind. There's these divine ideas, if you will. These are all in the realm of superconsciousness. They're all in this realm of everything that could be, right? So have you ever had a vision for your life and then you dismissed it because it was too big, too good? Like, we didn't have the ability to really wrap our arms around it. So we entertain this idea from the mind of God. We entertain this possibility from the mind of God of what could be. But that's really only the first step. Right? The first thing that we're asked to do is then entertain these ideas. But entertaining them is not enough. Because entertaining these ideas in and of themselves doesn't bring it into expression into our life, right? So the first aspect of this is superconscious. The next aspect is conscious. Now, the conscious mind is really interesting because the conscious mind is pivotal. And what that means is your conscious mind can focus on anything. Have you noticed that? Like, have you ever been amazed about what your mind thinks about? Like, you know, you're meditating, it's like, I wonder if I left the iron on, right? Or, you know, you pull out of the driveway and you get halfway down the block and you think, did I shut the garage door? Right? And then you turn around and drive around, and maybe it's just me, you turn around and you drive back and say, oh yeah, right? So your conscious mind has the ability to be pivotal. And there's several things that it can focus on. The first one, it can focus on the I went too long. Three-dimensional reality. So your conscious mind can look out at the world and focus on everything that is, just the way it is, right? Now, so we can focus on lack, limitation, we can focus on this or that. So your conscious mind can look out at the world and see the world the way it is, positive, negative, up and down, all that. Your conscious mind can also focus on your past. Oh, we'll see how far we get. I feel like a little Van Gogh-ish. I'm having to, right? That says past. Thank you. Your conscious mind can focus on your past. So, how many of you know that you can spend a lot of time thinking about what was? Right? So your conscious mind has the ability to focus on what's current, the past, but it also has the ability to shift and focus on the mind of God, superconscious, right? So it can focus on the past, it can focus on what is, or you can focus on the infinite possibilities of God, right? Now, what happens when your conscious mind focuses on the infinite mind of God is that then you are then downloading divine ideas. You are now downloading infinite possibilities. You are now downloading inspiration, ideas, intuition, all the things in life that could be, right? Because God actually knows all the things that could be. So if you need an idea for your business, you need an idea for your personal life, you need something going on at school, something going on in your relationship, you have the ability through your conscious mind to go back to past answers. How many of you have ever tried to solve a current problem with a past answer? Right? And sometimes it works, right? Have you ever tried over and over again to solve the same problem with the past and been disappointed that it didn't work? So then you could focus on talking to all your friends. Like, well, what do my friends think I should do, right? What does the world think I should do? Well, if I Google it, what's the answer, right? Right? Give me the black one. Perfect, thanks. So we can focus on the three-dimensional. Thank you. I was a trained SEAL in a past lifetime. Thank you very much. If it would have been a fish, it would have been even easier. All right? Wait, pay attention. This is where it gets important. Or, the parlor tricks are later, right? All right. Or, conscious mind can actually focus on super consciousness. And we can actually download the ideas of God. So what if, like, whatever you want, whatever the need, whatever the situation, say you want to start a new business, say you want to heal your body, say whatever it is, whatever, you can go to your past to look for the answer, but the likelihood that the answer is going to be in your past is pretty slim. Because if the answer was in your past, you would already have done it. Right? You can go to all your friends and Google and all that stuff and go see if the answer is out there, and maybe the answer is out there. But if you want to be at your highest level of success at the game of life, we have to learn how to begin to access the mind of God. We have to begin to learn how to access superconsciousness. That's what Einstein would do every time he got stuck in a problem in his lab. He would go take a nap. And in the process of quieting his conscious mind from everything he was working on, what it did was it opened up so that he would have access to superconsciousness. And what we want to do then is bring superconscious into consciousness. Or really what we want to do is bring consciousness, we want to become conscious of superconsciousness. Right? We actually want to become absolutely conscious of the mind of God. We, as Einstein said, we want to know God's thoughts. Right? We want to know the thoughts of God. And the reality is that superconsciousness is within all of us. Like, we all have direct access to that. Now, it's not just enough to then to entertain the mind of God. We then have to actually impregnate our subconscious with that possibility, because that's what we create from. Our subconscious is the creative force in our life. So we create over and over again by what we hold, what's held in our subconscious, right? So whatever we believe, right, we are in the process of creating. Not even because we're intentional about it, but because it's just in our subconscious. So as we change our beliefs, it changes how we begin to, I'm going to say impregnate, but that's really my best word. We impregnate the subconscious with ideas. And when the subconscious is impregnated with ideas, those ideas are created in the three-dimensional world. And at the highest level, what we want our conscious mind to do is just to completely download the divine into our subconscious, where it creates our reality. How many of you have ever felt like you were no good? Right? Where is, in this map, where is that belief? Where do we hold that belief? In the subconscious, right? And so when we believe that we're no good, over and over again, we create from that level of our subconscious and see a reality where it gives us evidence that we're no good. Now, would that come from our superconsciousness? No, but our conscious mind looks at our past, finds evidence that we're no good, and plants that in our subconscious that creates that reality. And so what happens over and over again is whatever our consciousness is focusing on is being implanted into our subconscious. So whatever we're focusing on, we are literally creating in our life. So to win at the game of life, guess what we have to change? What we focus on. We have to decide, which is really interesting for a lot of us, that we're actually going to entertain a new level of ideas. See, a lot of people teach that imagination happens at the level of consciousness, that we actually use our imagination to create, to imagine, right? What I think is probably more spiritually accurate is our imagination is the door, it's the gateway, it's the window to superconsciousness. And when we imagine something, when we use our imagination to create an image, we're actually moving to the level of superconsciousness, creating it there, and then bringing it down into the level of consciousness. So the question for us tonight is, what is the vision that you have for your life? Is that vision of you winning at life in the game that you really want to be playing? Or is it at you losing or playing small? What is your vision of life? And would you be willing to move out of your conscious thought process and really begin to entertain the mind of God for your life? Like for your business, for your financial life, for everything that you do, would you actually be willing to move to the level of superconsciousness and say, okay, God, okay, consciousness, okay, pure being, whatever you call it, Harold, right? What's the greatest possibility for my life? Right? What's the biggest thing that I could be doing, having, living? What is the best that I can imagine? And then if you ask that question, Spirit's going to give it to you. It's going to reveal it to you. And then you have to be willing to hold on to it. And that's why I really believe that we need people in our life who are praying with us. Because some of the stuff that you're going to be given seems so far-fetched that you could actually do that in your life. It seems like we're down here at ants, and God wants to give us a vision of superpowers. And it's like, how can I go to believing I'm like an ant, and then God gives me this vision that is so great? How can I hold that when it's so much bigger than I am? And the way that we do that is have people around us who believe with us. That I believe that we all need a team of believers. People that stand with us, whether we call it a mastermind group, whether we call it a prayer group, people that stand with us in believing for those things that are so much bigger, but are absolutely from the mind of God. Like if you went home tonight and had a dream of what your life could be, that was so magnificent, so prosperous, so loving, so wonderful in every way. Your home was just fantastic. You know, the car of your dreams, the life you long for. And you woke up and thought, wow, that'd be great. But then that's all you do with it? You miss the gift. What I want you to be able to say is, I had this dream. And I believe that because I had this dream, it's really God's dream for me. And I have people around me who I can share that dream with, and they actually believe with me and for me that I could live a life that's that great. Even though I don't completely believe that for myself, I have people around me that would believe for me. Florence said that there was 3 keys to this process. She said we have to have desire, we have to have faith, and we have to be willing to speak the word. If you tell yourself the truth, do you have an honest, hungry desire for a greater life? Because you can kind of want it and kind of never have it. that if you really want a greater life, you have to be hungry for it. You have to really want it. You have to be willing to go through a process of transformation. You have to do the inner work that's required daily to be that hungry for a greater life. You have to be hungry for your desires. Because for most of us, we have to have our desires to be so rich, so powerful, so important to us that it will cause us to change our inner laziness that holds us back. So the first thing is, are you hungry for your desires? Are you truly hungry for a greater life, or is it just kind of a nice idea? If it's kind of just a nice idea, oy vey, right? Then the next one is faith. When God gives you a greater desire in your life, can you hold it? And do you have people around you that will hold it with you? Do you have people that believe with you when you can't believe for yourself? Do you have people that say, you know, I saw you doing that? You know, when I was in I went into ministerial school when I was 28. And I had graduated from college at 18, 4 years of college, some grad school, and then I spent 4 or 5 years in sales. And when I finally applied to ministerial school at 28, I had people that said to me, you know, I knew you were going to do that from high school. I had people that were holding a vision of me doing ministry since I was 13, 14 years old that I never would have said it to myself. I mean, this is like the worst place. I never wanted to do this, right? You have to work every weekend and every holiday. This is a crummy job. You know, I never wanted to do this. And when I finally said, okay, I'll go do it, people said, I knew you were going to do that. I said, I wish you hadn't, you know? Right? But it's only when I said yes to this did my soul feel fulfilled. And it didn't really matter if I had to work every weekend. This is what my soul came for. So there were people that had faith in me when I didn't have faith for myself. Right? When I couldn't believe big enough, there were people. I remember when I was thinking about coming to Phoenix when I was in my first ministry. How many of you know Jack Boland? At Church of Today, Jack Boland. I went to talk to Jack Boland and I said, you know, Jack, they're talking about hiring me at this church in Phoenix and I don't know, and I'm not sure I want it and all this stuff. And he said, Richard, go to Phoenix and you'll do more than you even think is possible now. Was that prophetic? Maybe. But I believed him. I just believed him. So we have to have a desire. We have to have faith. And then here's the kicker. We have to speak the word. We have to speak the word. That you have to speak the life that you want. You have to speak it into reality. You have to use the power of your words, and we're going to talk about that more as we go. But you have to use the power of your words to speak what you want to exist into existence, to ignite your faith, to ignite your desire, to speak the word. I am successful. I am prosperous. My business is succeeding in amazing ways. My relationships are getting better, more loving, more wonderful every day. I'm prosperous. I am happy. I'm alive. I am healthy and whole. We have to use the power of our words to speak it into existence, to use our words over and over and over again. She says this, the object of the game of life is to see clearly one's good and to obliterate all mental images of evil. This must be done by impressing the subconscious mind with the realization of the good that you desire. Then she goes on. It's finally in the last paragraph of the first chapter. Speak these words aloud, and I want you to hear them, with power and conviction. I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious. You want to say that with me? I now smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious. They shall return back to the dust heap from their nothingness from which they came. They came from my own vain imagining. I now make my perfect record through the Christ mind. So here's the last homework assignment. I not only want you to have this clear vision of what you want, but this week I want you to erase everything in your subconscious that is less than the best. Well, how do you do that? You tell it to clean how do you clean your hard drive? You just erase it. I want you to erase the hard drive of your subconscious this week. I want you to let go of every erroneous belief about your life. I want you to forgive. I want you to release every bit of weirdness that you believed in. Because I want you ready for a brand new pattern, for a brand new possibility, for a life that absolutely God has wanted to give you from the beginning of time, and that right here, right now, we can create it. I release any ill belief in my subconscious mind. I believe any small thought. I release any limitation. I release any unforgiveness. I hold nothing back, but allow God to clear my subconscious of every crazy idea. I want a complete cleaning out of your subconscious mind this week. I know it's a big job, right? But it's a lot more work to try to keep creating over erroneous beliefs. It's actually just easier to wipe it clean. So are you willing? So this week I want you to get really clear on what you want. I want you to be crystal clear on not only what you want, but to actually entertain the mind of God. What does God truly want to give you? What is the life that God is promising to offer you? Are you willing to hold on to that? And then are you willing to release anything in your subconscious, to just tell it to clear itself? Clean and release anything in your subconscious that is not for your highest and the best, so that we can be super conscious, conscious, and subconscious. We can be totally united so that we can download the mind of God into every area of our life. Are you willing to try this week? That's where we're going. Okay, let's close with prayer. I invite you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to the activity of God. That there's only one presence, one power, one God, one good manifesting in our life. Today we release all old beliefs. That anything that's not for our highest and our best, we allow our subconscious mind to be completely cleared. Any erroneous ideas, any limiting beliefs, any fear, we allow it all to be cleansed from our consciousness. We hold nothing back from God. And then we put our full focus on the mind of God, on the life that could be, on the spiritual possibilities that God is offering each one of us. And we say, yes, yes, God. Yes, God. In the name and through the power of the living Christ, we give thanks. And so it is. Amen.